Hi and welcome. Today I'm going to make sourdough ciabatta. Wonderful, wonderful, tasty bread. You can't just imagine salt, water and flour can be so tasty. It's just unimaginably good and tasty. So all you have to do is to have what I call a pre-dough or levain. So you mix the sourdough with some flour and water and let it stay there for either 12 hours or 24 hours, depending on how much taste you want out of the sourdough. So I've tried mine both ways, but I prefer the 24 hours actually. But the 12 hours is just as good. My neighbors, they get all these breads that I bake, and they have given me very, very good grades actually. So even 12 hours is just fine. And then it's a good thing if you have a pizza stone at home. Otherwise you can just turn upside down to one of these baking sheets and heat it up in the oven when you heat up the oven, and use that as a very hot base for the bread to come to, because when it comes to in contact with this very, very warm and hot base, the bread gets a very good start in the oven. So it's a very good thing to do with all kinds of bread actually, but you don't have to have a pizza stone in order to make that. So all you have to do is to just make sure that you have this kind of parchment paper, you put some flour on it, the breads on that, keep them on trays, and then trays with no corners, so that you can just push it in when it's time for the breads to be baked. So that's all you need to do. And I tell you, very simple recipe and very tasty. So let's get started. Well, take the sourdough starter and mix it with flour and 78.8 Fahrenheit water, and leave it for 12 or 24 hours. It doesn't matter which you prefer. Then the day after, or after 12 or 24 hours, you mix the whole pre-dough or levain with water, flour and oil, and knead it on medium speed for 10 minutes. And scrap the sides once during the kneading process, please. And the dough should be as stretchy as this that I showed you. Now, add the salt at this moment after 10 minutes and continue kneading for additional 3 minutes. Oil a bowl and pour in the dough. You see how stretchy it is. So now you just simply cover it with the plastic wrap and put it in the oven with the lights on. And as you see, I have a dish like this, and I boil some water and pour it in there at the bottom of the oven, and lock the door and let the dough rest for 1 hour in this dough cabinet. Meanwhile, you can prepare your trays with parchment paper, and then when the dough is done, you simply pour a generous amount of flour on your working bench, and when you think you're generous, put even more, and then pour out the dough and shape it lightly with floured hands. Then cut it with sharp knife or a sharp scraper, dough scraper, and put them on floured parchment paper on those trays. And I just put 4 in each one of them. I think it's more than enough. And then you simply pour flour on top of them and cover with a kitchen towel and leave it for 1 hour. Meanwhile, you heat your oven to 482 degrees. And if you use a pizza stone or an upside down baking sheet, it doesn't matter, but have it in from the very beginning. And then you just simply slide it in with the parchment paper and bake it for 20 minutes. It all depends on how big your pieces of bread are. They are so delicious. It's so delightful to have them. I just tell you, for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. As we say in Iran, Nushijan, or enjoy.